Katie Zyko is here. She actually has come to tech from the liberal arts background at Duquesne University, but is born here in Philadelphia, boomeranged back via Philadelphia, and is now the campus director of Tech Elevator. I'm going to turn it over to you. Katie, take it away.
Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Zyko. I'm the campus director here for Tech Elevator Philadelphia. So nice to meet you. Thanks for everyone for coming out today. So when Anne reached out to me about this, I was super excited to speak about Tech Elevator. I really, truly believe in our mission, and I get very excited to talk about it. So yeah, we can advance to the next slide. You're going to see a video to start off here of one of our alumni speaking about her experience on our campus. Okay, we'll have to come back to that then. We'll come back to that. In true Tech Elevator fashion, so it's a little technical difficulty. You can go to the next slide. Thanks. Yeah.
I'll skip the other video as well. I'm so sorry.
All right, so let's take a look. So Tech Elevator is coding bootcamp, 14 weeks in duration. And we were founded in 2015 in Cleveland, Ohio. To date, we've graduated 2,000 students who successfully come through our coding bootcamp and successfully landed jobs. So let's take a look at the demand and the supply. So if you advance to the next slide, you're going to see what the tech talent demand looks like here across the country. Looking out to the year 2028, I'm sure all of you are aware, these jobs are climbing at 5 times the national average. Every company is viewing themselves as a technology company. There are not enough people with this skill set. There's a huge gap in terms of people who are qualified for these types of positions. And there's obviously a lot of companies who are saying we need more people with software development skill sets. And that's pulled directly from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. You can go to the next slide. You're going to see a snapshot. So here are a few companies that have hired from Tech Elevator across all of our markets. So we do have campuses, and you'll see in a few slides our national footprint. So started in Cleveland, Ohio, slowly worked our way down through Columbus and Cincinnati, launched our Pittsburgh campus in 2018, Philadelphia, and then we also have our national live remote program. So these companies have hired from Tech Elevator, and they're telling us that they need more people with this skill set. If you advance to the next slide, you'll see coding bootcamp market growth. So for those of you who are not familiar with coding bootcamps, they're popping up here and there. There's quite a few in Philadelphia, and they're an alternative way for people to learn skills that are in demand and jumpstart a career in tech. You'll see here, year 2021, close to 30,000 students will graduate from coding bootcamps. They are just becoming another option. You know, some of our students who come through our program, roughly about 66% of them have a 4-year degree. But they've used that, they've maybe taught, they maybe worked in business or education, and they're using that to kind of transfer their skills, learn these in-demand skills, and jumpstart a career in tech. If you advance to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about what Tech Elevator is and why we're here. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that we were founded in 2015, as I mentioned, in Cleveland, Ohio, with the mission to elevate people, companies, and communities. And we have a strategic team who looks at the areas that we're going to launch a physical campus in to see how many opportunities are actually out there. So how many companies are hiring for software developers, and then how many people are graduating with a 4-year computer science degree. As I mentioned earlier, there's a huge gap, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting a 4-year degree. I have one, many of our instructors have them, but for some students, that isn't possible. The time, the 4-year commitment, the 2-year commitment, the financial commitment to go into a 4-year program is sometimes not possible. So if you advance to the next slide, you'll see our national footprint. So we have 5 physical campuses launched in 2015 in Cleveland, 2016 in Columbus, 2017 in Cincinnati, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia to follow. So our Philadelphia campus launched right before COVID. We have a beautiful campus right in the Dwayne Morris Plaza in Center City. And then you'll see we also have 4 remote communities as well. So those are centralized in Charlotte, Chicago, Dallas, and Detroit. And they all run up through our national live remote program that runs completely virtual. The 5 physical campuses are currently virtual at this point. We have plans to be back in person for our fall class. 2 pieces to note here, 2,000 grads, so 2,000 alumni who successfully come through the program and graduated and found a job. And then you'll also see, which I think is really interesting, we track a lot of metrics at Tech Elevator, and on average, our students are seeing on average an increase of $1.3 million over their lifetime earnings. So they're comparing that to what they were doing beforehand. If they were a coffee barista, a teacher, retail, restaurant workers in business, they're seeing that average increase of 1.3 million. So it truly is life-changing for the people who come through Tech Elevator. Here are the nuts and bolts of what we offer. Okay, so here is the 14 weeks and the full stack coding bootcamp. So as I mentioned earlier, our program is demand driven. If you take a look at Google Jobs or you do a quick search on LinkedIn, you're going to see that a lot of companies are hiring for software developers. So we really want to teach people in-demand skills. It is practitioner-led. So all of our instructors come from the industry. They're former software developers themselves. They're not just instructors, they're really mentors, helping our students transition from point A to point B. It is a full-time commitment, which is tough for a lot of our students. We really do not recommend that students work while going through the program. It is 14 weeks in duration. Typically we are in person. Right now we are remote. With plans to be back in person for our fall class. The typical progression is learn, apply, learn, apply. So standard day is 9 to 4:30, 9 to 5. The students do have access to our physical space 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they're able to collaborate in there. But I mentioned the learn, apply because they're not only just learning, they're actually creating applications. So the last 2 weeks of the program are focused fully on a 2-week web application they create. I've seen some pretty amazing things come out of the program. We've seen a Walk Philadelphia application going to all the historical points throughout Philly, and they can use that to showcase in their interviews. We teach 2 languages, so we are a Java and .NET full stack bootcamp, and we really believe in teaching foundational programming, so the students can use that to kind of springboard and learn other technologies and languages from there. When they graduate, they're considered code-ready full stack developers, which basically means that you can complete a project from start to finish. So you can take a look at what's on the back end, all the things we don't see, in a typical setting when we're looking at a website. You can also take a look and create the front end and what makes everything look pretty when you actually look at a website. And then the student does get a laptop and books. We have an ebook that they'll get. They do get a laptop to use for the full duration of the program. And someone has actually calculated that they will consume 12,000 plus cups of coffee throughout the cohort. The last thing I'll mention, and I'll talk here in a few minutes, is our Pathway program. Our Pathway program is nationally recognized. It's aimed at helping the student land a job. So our Pathway director will work one-on-one with the student to help them hone their behavioral skills, eventually helping them land a job and introducing them to employers. So how we teach. Typical day, the students are in class from 9 to 12. They'll get a quiz in the morning to check for their understanding. What did everyone think of yesterday's material? How did you feel about it? Did you think the pace was too fast, too slow? Really that little temp check to kind of understand what was learned. And if half the class missed something, we are not moving on until those students get that material. From there, they'll introduce a new concept through live coding demos, and then they'll start working on their homework and their exercises. We do a lot of pair programming at Tech Elevator. We really think that's a great skill set for students to learn, because when they get out to the industry, they're most likely going to be doing pair programming. And what we teach, I am obviously not technical. I have an English degree, so I will do my best here with what we teach. Usually this is one of my instructors who is typically speaking about this, but we teach 2 languages, Java and .NET, and we're teaching those because they are in demand in the market that we're in. Our Pathway program, nationally recognized, is really aimed, like I mentioned, at helping the student land that job. So they'll have 30+ pathway program sessions to help the student craft their elevator pitch. If they're a former chef, what should they be saying in an interview? If they worked in retail or the restaurant industry, what should they be saying to really help them land that job? We'll go through 4 rounds of mock interviews, and then we host a huge culminating event called matchmaking, where we introduce the students to employers that are hiring in the area. And then we do help them for up to 6 months. So they will get help for up to 6 months after graduation. We really want to help them ensure that they're going to land a job, sending their resume out, doing mock interviews, and that ongoing career coaching. And a typical day at Tech Elevator, as I mentioned, 9 to 4:30, it's a pretty jam-packed day. I do want to get to the last few slides, so we'll go to our elevated outcomes. So Tech Elevator is really, really big on being transparent. We want our students to see that if they're going to be coming to this program, they have an X percentage chance at graduating and an X percentage chance at getting a job. So 2 times a year, we voluntarily report all of our outcomes to SIR. I would encourage anyone who is interested to take a look at SIR.org. It's the Council on Integrity and Results Reporting. And SIR holds boot camps accountable for their outcomes. So 2 times a year, they'll do a full audit. From our most recent reporting period, we have a 95% graduation rate and a 93% job placement rate within 6 months of graduation, with an average starting salary of $85,000 coming out of the program. Are you a fit? First step is to take our aptitude test. It's on our website. Test how to think like a developer. 14 questions long. It's going to test critical thinking, pattern recognition, logic-based questions. Following that, if you get a 7, you're invited to interview with us, and you'll take another aptitude test that is 35 questions long. And tuition and cost of living support. So I'm sure you're all wondering, how much does this cost? $15,950 is our full tuition. We do partner with a few different lenders. You'll see Sallie Mae and Ascent are 2 lenders that we partner with. You can also receive a living expense through that if you are obviously quitting your job to go through the program. And then additionally, I'll just add in here that we also have a Represent Tech scholarship aimed at helping students coming from underrepresented backgrounds in technology pave their way through the program. And then last slide, if you're interested, we have 3 boot camps a year, spring, summer, and fall. And I did outline the admissions process there if anyone is interested, but techelevator.com/get-started will take you there. Thank you.
Yeah, this is so great. Thank you so much for being here. I want you to say that website for accountability again for the people that check out all the boot camps. It's going to take us a minute to get to every boot camp that serves Philadelphia. So in the meantime, people can check out
techelevator.com and then /get-started.
Right, and then the website where you upload your accountability data, that was?
Yep, so that is the Council on Integrity and Results Reporting, and it's CIRR.org. You can check out data from various boot camps who choose to report their outcomes. It's reported 2 times a year.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Emily, do we have questions from Zoom land? Do we have okay. Zoomers, and do we have questions from the room? Any questions from the room for Katie? Okay, so I have a question. I was intimidated by your tests in the beginning. I was like, wow, this is amazing. It sounds like the tech version of West Point, like once you're in, everyone's crossing the finish line, hell or high water, right? Is that kind of the vibe once you're in?
I would say that our admissions process is very vetted. Okay, so it's tried and true. If we don't think someone is going to be able to find a job, we will not accept them. That's our primary motive. But the students that we are accepting, it's one thing that we really dig into the interview for grit factor, because we want to see that they can do this. We want to see what challenges they've overcome in their life to see if they can successfully complete it. But yes, I would say it is a boot camp. We're not going to make you do push-ups or pull-ups, but you will definitely exercise your brain.
Right. And there might be a link between the 24-hour labs and the coffee. Just maybe a guess there. I also wanted to ask you about the rates, just to set expectations. If people go in and they take that initial
Aptitude for the questions. What's the chances or likelihood that they're gonna get over that first wall?
So you can actually take that first assessment as many times as you want.
Oh.
So you can take it as many times as you want. We will see that you've taken it, you to get through every time, we can see that.
But do you hold that against people if they try 3 times and make it over the wall?
we tell people, keep trying, you know,
Okay.
keep trying to see if this is something you would like. And then if they do get the 7, they're invited to apply, you know, because there is another assessment they can only take once.
Okay,
That is the 35 questions.
so 35 questions, but if they practice on the first one, they're probably gonna be more prepared for the second one.
There is a practice test as well, so there's practice test before the actual one that you can prep on.
Okay, so that's a really good, more information, but what percentage of the population are we talking about? Because this is hard stuff. I mean, it's not easy. It may not be for everyone.
Yeah, so I will say that the number of people that take it is kind of, I would say, you know, not maybe an accurate number.
Yeah.
Who just take it, they want to see what it's like.
Right.
So
Sure.
I don't know if I maybe really speak to that too well, but
Okay.
I would say that if the student takes it and they're really serious, they'll go and apply.
Yeah.
And then they'll continue on the process, but occasionally we'll have people just take it, you know, they want to see what it's like to see something they want to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
And for the folks who may not know about Sally Mae, I was really glad to see you included financing options in your slides. Can you just explain the advantages of, accessing a program like that?
Yeah.
For folks at home.
Yep, so we have a few different lenders that we work with, so Sally Mae and Skills Fund, Sally Mae and Ascent are 2 that we work with. Some students choose to go that route depending on credit, that is obviously a factor. Some students choose to take our income share agreement. We just launched our income share agreement in April 2021, and it's a small portion that you put down, $2,000. And then from there, once you get your job, paying at least $40,000, we'll pay back 10% of your monthly income. Tuition. So there's a lot of options, plus a scholarship as well.
Great. And then the income on the other end of it too.
Yes.
A question from the group.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the demographics of your students' age, and those that have left full-time employment, those that are still trying to work part-time? Can you talk a little bit about that?
And then diversity to gender, all that, gender and race.
Yeah, that's a great
And
question.
then we'll have to get ready for our 3rd one. I'm sorry. Put the questions in the chat, and I'll send them to Katie and follow up for anybody who still has questions.
Yeah. That's a great question. So average age is 31. So it is 2nd career changers. A lot of our students have families, they have mortgages, they have kids. So they're very serious about this commitment. They're not, it's not just like a walk in the park, it's bootcamp. And then about 66% will have a 4-year degree before this. We see students with masters and PhDs come through our program who are really looking to change and pivot. I would say from a diversity standpoint, we obviously launched our Represent Tech Scholarship in the fall of 2020. We committed $1 million to sponsoring underrepresented individuals through the Bootcamp. And we actually recently just had a partner who's hired a lot of our students, Vanguard, who will also be sponsoring a scholarship for our students as well. So
That's awesome.
yeah, lots of good things happening.
Yeah, and Vanguard's a great employer, as far as I know. I've never worked there, but the word on the street here in the region is everyone's nodding and agreeing. Okay, you must have friends at Vanguard. So that's great. And $1 million goes a long way, but it's only 15 or 16 grand. 15.7 was it?
15,950.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bravo. Thank you for being here.